You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, the city of Miami talks state of the city, and sales tax is part of that conversation.
Gorgeous looking Monday start over the 4 states, but eventually we're going to be talking about thunderstorms for the middle of the week. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we're going to tell you about a man who inherits a record collection from his uncle. About 20,000 of those records. You won't believe it. All that and more coming up. Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The city of Miami, Oklahoma outlines the state of the community. It was an event where city and community leaders could discuss projects in the city, both current and future. One topic, sales tax. Officials say sales tax revenue this month fell compared to last year. Revenue in the city had been going up every month, so this drop has the attention of city leaders.
Obviously, you're going to be careful, and we're going to be very fiscally responsible on how we interpret the data going forward as we watch carefully, like everyone, to see where the economy is going to go. We've had a lot of positive experience over the last 2 years, but we want to be careful and watch and see, is it going to maintain? Are we going to continue seeing growth? Are we going to level out? Or are we going to go down?
Even though this month's revenue dropped compared to last March, it's still up compared to March of 2020. You can view the entire State of the Community event on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. The city of Joplin wants the public to weigh in on the city's solid waste master plan. The city says it's in its initial stages of developing the plan and wants residents' input to ensure its success. The discussions will include trash, recycling, and yard waste services in the city. An informational open house will be held next Wednesday, April the 6th, on the 5th floor of City Hall in the council chambers. There are 2 times available, from 2 to 4 or 5 to 7 p.m. An hours-long standoff with law enforcement in Baxter Springs ends with 3 people dead, including a 2-year-old child. According to the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, around 7:14 Saturday night, Baxter Springs police officers were called to 340 Wyandotte Avenue. The female caller told dispatch she needed help. When officers arrived, the woman exited the home and a male shot and killed her. She has been identified as 27-year-old Taylor Shute. The shooter, 37-year-old Eli Crawford, went back in the home with their 2-year-old child. When Crawford returned to the home, he began shooting at a law enforcement on the scene there, which included Cherokee County Sheriff's deputies. As he continued to shoot at law enforcement, additional help was called in from the Kansas Highway Patrol, the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, and the Joplin SWAT team. Officials say the assault lasted nearly 3.5 hours before an officer was able to return fire. When officers entered the home, Eli and the child were found dead inside. The officer who returned fire has been placed on paid administrative leave per department protocol. The investigation is ongoing and is being led by the KBI. On Sunday, the city of Carthage laid to rest Bon Terre officer Lane Burns. Early Thursday morning, March 17th, 2 patrolmen were ambushed, sparking an exchange of gunfire at a Motel 6, an hour south of St. Louis in Bon Terre. Officer Lane Burns was killed. And then on Sunday, people lined the route in Carthage to pay their final respects to Officer Burns. He is a Carthage native and Carthage High School 2009 graduate. One area fire department rolled out a time-honored tradition to show off some new equipment. Pittsburgh Fire Department unveiled its new fire truck, hosted a push-in ceremony, a tradition they say dates back to the 1800s. The new Rescue 7 fire truck, will be housed at Pittsburgh's Fire Station number 1. Fire Chief Dennis Riley says they plan to hold a push-in ceremony for every new vehicle the department gets. Ronald McDonald House in Joplin helps families in need, which leads to a lot of people coming and going. It can be tough for workers there to keep up with all of the cleaning that has to be done. To help, staff members from KCU Joplin campus stopped by to help clean as part of the school's Health House project.
Ronald McDonald House is about family-centered care, and so that understanding that role that Ronald McDonald House and its programs actually play in the role of medical students is a tremendous asset to us.
There was also a chance for the staff members to learn about the charity and what they do. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is criticizing the West ahead of another round of talks between Russian and Ukrainian officials, this time in Turkey. Meanwhile, the White House is trying to walk back comments President Biden made last week about seeking regime change in Russia. Elise Preston has more.
Mr. President, were you calling for regime change?
No.
President Biden says he is not calling for the removal of Russian President Vladimir Putin, walking back some of his final words in Europe last week.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
The president had used the trip to highlight European unity following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, announcing new sanctions and a plan to reduce Europe's reliance on Russian energy. But the last-second gaffe may have overshadowed the moves, with administration officials now clarifying the U.S. stance.
We do not have a strategy of regime change in Russia or anywhere else for that matter.
The comments are drawing scrutiny at home.
It plays into the hands of the Russian propagandists.
And abroad.
Par la voie diplomatique d'obtenir.
French President Emmanuel Macron warned against unnecessary escalation as the West looks for ways to stop the war. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has signaled he's ready to accept neutrality to help restore peace, and some Russian demands are on the table, that Ukraine will remain free of nuclear weapons.
But the peace agreement should include them leaving our territory, all of it.
One Ukrainian military official believes Russia is trying to split the country in two, like a North and South Korea. Elise Preston, CBS News.
Kyiv schools are reopening virtually today. Officials hope it will take students' minds off of the war and be a channel for psychological support. Teachers have been told not to overburden students with assignments. Well, fans stormed Mass Street in Lawrence, Kansas as the Jayhawks topped Miami to make it to the Final Four. This will be the 16th time the storied Kansas program has made it that far in March Madness. Kansas Jayhawks will face Villanova, which has won 2 of the past 5 national titles. The marquee attraction will be the matchup between Duke and North Carolina. The Tar Heels have a record of 21 appearances in the Final Four, while Duke has 17. Kansas, North Carolina, and Duke are first, third, and fourth in all-time wins.
Also of note, and I appreciate, and rightfully so, that Kansas, North Carolina, and Duke should be the exclamation point at the end of that story. But as you pointed out, Villanova has a chance to win 3 national championships in a span of 6 years. In 2016 and in 2018, they beat Kansas en route to winning national championships. In 2016, they beat them in the Elite Eight. In 2018, they beat them in the Final Four.
Wow. Well, as you know, I'm a University of Kansas Jayhawk graduate, so obviously, you know, I'm rooting for the Hawks. But it's kind of a funny story because my best friend from college, Jayhawk fan as well, is married to a Villanova grad.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And it seems like they meet up in the tournament at some point a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so there's always that house divided game, and now it gets to be a Final Four game.
And like I said, I do love the fact that we get the Duke North Carolina matchup, but also too, I hope that hope there comes a point in time where we give Jay Wright a little bit of credit down there at North Carolina. Seems like we're all, you know, it seems like, and I say this nationally, of course, locally, regionally, we're going to, but it seems like we're focusing on Bill and, of course, Coach K and Hubert Davis bringing his team back, coming off of Roy's retirement.
Right.
Yeah, there's so many tie-ins in this whole thing. Tanya, we'll get up into the 70s today, mid to high 70s on Tuesday. Coming up here in just a little bit, though, I want to break down the time frame of our thunderstorm activity because once it starts, it's going to carry us into Wednesday as well. And we do show up on the severe thunderstorm risk map.
Well, up next, just in case you needed one more reason to love coffee, a new study says coffee can lower the chances of heart failure. And later, one man receives a surprise in the form of his grandfather's Purple Heart after 78 years. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Contact tracing works. According to a new study just published Friday, Researchers estimate contact tracing reduced COVID-19 cases in the U.S. by an estimated 21% in late 2020 as vaccines were first becoming available. Study was published in the medical journal JAMA Network Open and used hospitalization data and estimates to predict contact tracing prevented more than 1 million COVID-19 cases and up to about 33,000 hospitalizations over the course of just 2 months. Drinking coffee may do your ticker good. According to research published Thursday, having 2 or 3 cups of coffee per day appears to lower a person's chance of falling victim to heart disease or heart failure. Findings were based on data from UK Biobank, which included information on more than 500,000 people during a 10-year period. Researchers say they're not sure if caffeine is the main factor for the apparent health benefits, saying there are numerous other compounds in coffee that could play a role. I'm sure when you add as much sugar and creamer as you do in mine, that it loses some of those benefits. Well, there's new research on a treatment for depression. It might surprise you. An ingredient found in so-called magic mushrooms may have long-lasting benefits after just a few doses. Bradley Blackburn has the story.
M. Hanchek suffers from a type of depression that's treatment resistant, still experiencing symptoms after years of therapy and medications.
I was in a rut and, no matter what I tried, things did not really improve beyond a certain point.
In 2019, Hanchek joined a study at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, testing a psychedelic drug called Psilocybin to treat depression. It's the same compound found in so-called magic mushrooms.
One of the curious features about these drugs, I would say it's the signature feature, is they produce experiences that have huge embedded personal meaning.
Psilocybin's medical potential was studied in the 60s until concerns about abuse shut down research. Dr. Roland Griffiths helped restart experiments and found that 2 doses of psilocybin in a controlled environment, along with therapy, reduced or even eliminated depression for most patients for up to a year after treatment.
You are able to, access thoughts and feelings.
Dr. Griffiths believes psilocybin could be an important alternative because for some, antidepressants are not effective enough, have to be taken every day, and have side effects.
Many people end up failing or relapsing with those compounds.
Hanchek is still in therapy but no longer takes medication.
The texture has kind of returned to the world, and that is just an incredible experience.
A promising new treatment that's not magic but rooted in science. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Other institutions around the country are also testing psilocybin for depression and anxiety. Well, a female baseball player made history this week with the Kentucky minor league team. The Kentucky Wild Health Genomes drafted Alexis Hopkins as their newest catcher on Wednesday. She's the first woman ever drafted by an American professional baseball team for an on-field role. Hopkins was the 8th pick in the annual Atlantic League draft. The Atlantic League is an official MLB partner league, and according to its website, over 50 of its players' contracts are sold to major league organizations each year. Genomes are slated to play their first home match of the season July 4th.
Whether it be softball or baseball, Tanya, every day that I go to MLB.com, there's a new story about gender roles in professional sports. Kim Ng, now general manager of the Florida Marlins. We've got this young lady in Kentucky, and luckily she's going to be okay. Unfortunately, the New York Yankees A-League head coach, making news over the weekend. Unfortunately, she was hit by a foul ball in the face.
Ooh.
She's going to be okay. She's going to be there for opening day. But yes, I did say she. She's the head coach. She's the manager of the Yankees A-class ball.
Wow.
How cool is that? All right, here's what we're watching for this week. Warm weather for today and tomorrow. Windy conditions do mean elevated fire risks. And then Tuesday night, we've got thunderstorms kicking in, cooler temps behind that. So as we get to what we're looking for, there's our Monday and Tuesday warmth, a little bit cooler on the backside of it. More importantly is how this thing rolls through. because we'll come back to the severe thunderstorm risk map here. I want to bebop into Tuesday evening. It really won't get started till after sunset on Tuesday. And then we not only see it begin to be more widespread, we see patterns of heavy rain, thunder, and lightning to go along with it as well. And that puts us in the low category on the severe thunderstorm risk map. So as we work from south up to north, it's not only the risk of flooding, also high winds and a slight chance for hail as well. Late Tuesday night, all the way through Wednesday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. People collect all sorts of things throughout their lives, but no one may have a collection quite like one Wisconsin man. May not be a record-setting record collection, but I tell you what, it's drumming up a whole lot of interest. Emily Hagan with the story.
My Uncle George passed away in January, and I'm the administrator of the estate.
Charlie Muller's uncle, George Johnson, was a lover of music. That love could be measured in vinyl.
In the 80s, when records were kind of fading out, people said, "George, you want my records?" So George took the records and made his own collection.
His collection grew to 20,000.
So I got the whole house set up as a record shop, downstairs in the main level.
All right, right on the nose. Every one of them now for sale.
75% of it is rock and roll from the 70s. Alice Cooper, Led Zeppelin.
I'm looking for what looks cool. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
He's the smart one.
The Beach Boys. Moonlight, Milorganite, and you. It can only be good.
James Gang.
Managing George's record collection has been a gift for Charlie.
I was saying a month ago you couldn't walk through here. It was stacked with 8 tracks, 45s all along that wall, and that was all full of 78s. It opened up a whole new enlightenment of how George lived.
Throughout his life, he was a friend to many.
He really brought people together.
And now George's records are bringing people together too.
My mom, she lost a lot of her record collection when she moved in with me, so I am trying to replace some of her memories.
And giving an unexpected gift to strangers.
Share the records with all these people who want to get them. They're all so happy and excited. It's been great.
All right, thank you.
Run through our future track as once again we'll be up into the high 60s, low 70s today. Then as we move into Tuesday, you'll notice the green starts popping up. Now it's going to be warm on Tuesday, but that also increases our instability. And as we approach sunset Tuesday, here come the thunderstorms rolling in from the southwest, dominating Tuesday night throughout Wednesday morning and really lasting most of Wednesday as well. Want to reiterate the low category on the severe thunderstorm risk map turns up for all of the 4 states as we find ourselves with threat of flooding from intense rain, high winds, and a slight chance for hail. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
It's time to honor today's 4-state hero, Earl Long. Lance Corporal Earl Long served in the Marines from July of 1969 to July of 72. He served with the 3rd Marine Division in Vietnam, and during his service he earned the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, and the Vietnam Campaign Medal, plus many other awards. His hometown, Iola, Kansas. We thank you, today's 4-state hero, Lance Corporal Earl Long. Pennsylvania man was surprised to receive his grandfather's Purple Heart after 78 years. In fact, Jeff Herzog knew his grandfather died in combat in World War II. He never knew about the medal, though. Caitlin Reardon has their story.
It was such a kind gesture that I will never be able to repay or forget.
Last month, Jeff Herzog received a call from someone who turned out to be a long-lost relative, and she had a special heirloom for him.
And the first thing she asked me was, do you happen to know your grandfather's name on your father's side?
He did. Webster E. Herzog.
She proceeded to say, did you happen to know that he got a Purple Heart when he died in Belgium?
Jeff found out his late grandfather's niece, or his second cousin Edie, and her daughter Dawn, whom he'd never known, had his grandfather's Purple Heart from when he died in battle during World War II. And Edie, now in her 80s, wanted to pass it on to him. So Dawn helped seek him out using social media and Ancestry. They met the next day.
Edie handed it to me, and it was just, I mean, she broke down, cried. but it was such an honor.
Edie was a child when two men in uniform came to deliver the message that Webster died in battle and present the family with his Purple Heart. Now, 78 years later, the newly reunited Herzog side is planning to have a Memorial Day picnic together, a fitting event given one of the last pieces of correspondence from his grandfather.
In his letter, he had mentioned that, you know, he was doing fine, he was doing well, but he could not wait for the war to be over so he could come home and they could have, how he put it, like had wieners and beer, hot dogs and beer.
He died 3 days later. Jeff says the Purple Heart will be cherished and he'll continue to pass it down through the generations.
And I know my dad would feel very proud that I have it.
Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, there were a few surprises from the Oscars ceremony last night, and one from Will Smith that has everyone talking. Yep, you just saw it. We'll tell you all about it. They say performers will perform for any audience, and we've got a story about a banjo player who's picking for a four-legged audience that, well, you just might not expect. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Pittsburgh Parks and Rec Department hosts the first kids garage sale event of the year. Kids and families were able to sell items and learn important life and customer service skills. One pair out selling lemonade with strawberry boba was Rebecca Patcher and Skylar Stevens, who are paired together as part of Kansas Big Brothers Big Sisters. Patcher says it's a valuable experience.
So originally we saw that it was a kids sale and we thought it would be perfect for them to come out, and where the money that we make is going to be put towards another activity that we can do with them. And they've just been having a great time, but they're also learning skills at the same time. How do you ask them when they walk by? What do you say?
Excuse me.
What do you ask them?
Do you want some lemonade?
Do you want some lemonade?
What I get. Skylar says his favorite part of the day was making the lemonade. NEO hosted its annual crafts fair. It featured over 50 vendors selling items ranging from jewelry to instruments. Vendors pay just an entry fee and get to keep what they earn. The entry fees, however, go towards opportunities for students such as scholarships, study abroad trips, and more.
Here being in Northeast Oklahoma, we don't always get a lot of visitors, so it's nice when we can have people from all over the 4 states come in. This event has really benefited students over the years because the funds raised go directly to support student opportunities on campus.
12 students will be able to go on study abroad trips thanks to Saturday's fair. Neosho High School gave students a chance to practice their interview skills through a new program. New Caps allows students to work with the community to explore career paths. On Friday, students participated in mock speed interviews with local businesses. This is Neosho High School's second year running the New Caps program. Well, on Friday, the city of Miami, Oklahoma laid out the state of the community. It was an event where city and community leaders could discuss projects in the city, both current and future. One topic, sales tax. Officials say sales tax revenue this month fell compared to last year. Revenue in the city had been going up every month, so this drop has the attention of city leaders.
Obviously, you're going to be careful, and we're going to be very fiscally responsible on how we interpret the data going forward as we watch carefully, like everyone, to see where the economy is going to go. We've had a lot of positive experience over the last 2 years, but we want to be careful and watch and see, is it going to maintain? Are we going to continue seeing growth? Are we going to level out? Or are we going to go down?
Again, this was in Miami, Oklahoma. Even though this month's revenue dropped compared to last March, it's still up compared to March of 2020. You can view the entire State of the Community event on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Everyone deserves to be in a relationship that is safe and loving, but unfortunately that isn't always the case. Domestic abuse can happen to anyone. So Pittsburgh State students hosted a workshop to inform students of signs to look out for in their own relationships. KOAM's Bronte Sorosky tells us how a workshop at Pitt State aims to help students navigate their own relationships.
Silence promotes violence. So Pittsburgh State is bringing awareness to domestic abuse and getting victims the help they need.
Although we like to see the good in our communities, ignoring the bad doesn't make it go away. Therefore, Silence Promotes Violence was born.
I wanted it to be something that the community can enjoy and learn from, something that is a need within our community of Pittsburgh and surrounding communities.
Jacqueline Boucher is a senior at Pitt State and says she wanted fellow students and the community to have a better understanding of domestic violence and what healthy relationships are supposed to look like.
What keeps victims usually in the victim position is that a lot of the times they don't know what they're experiencing. It's not, oh, I'm loving someone that's difficult to love, which is what they might think. And this is partly because no one is talking about it. A lot of people I know, I didn't.
Boucher teamed up with Pitt State's Students for Violence Prevention organization.
We love talking about this stuff and we love educating our fellow students and just helping people become aware.
DeMoss says these conversations are essential, especially on a college campus.
People come and they get in their first real relationship. They might not know how a relationship's supposed to work, and if they don't know, then they don't know those signs from healthy to unhealthy to abusive.
They hope the tools students learn on Saturday can help them recognize it if it happens to them.
My age group isn't talking about it, and 18 to 24-year-olds are the most at risk for domestic violence. Silence promotes violence is just, hey, this shouldn't be something we're afraid to talk about. This should be something we're afraid of happening.
In Pittsburgh, Bronte Sorotsky, KUAM News.
Participants also learned self-defense from a local dojo, heard from a victim's advocate, as well as a local detective. And of course, Michael sat down with Jacqueline last week, and you can watch that entire interview on our website on the morning show link, KUAMnewsnow.com. Well, a woman in Britain breaks the world record for the most chicken Mcnuggets eaten in a minute. Leah Schuitkever is a model, and a competitive eater who claims to have 27 records for eating, including the fastest time to eat 3 pickled eggs and the most marshmallows eaten in a minute without using your hands. But that's a fun one to watch. She also holds the record of most chicken McNuggets eaten in 3 minutes since 2020. However, this time she wanted to break yet another record with the nuggets eating 19 in a minute, or 352 grams. Yeah, you gotta get the right size. Surpassing the previous record of 315 grams held by another competitive eater and model from New Zealand.
So it's actually not the number of nuggets, it's the weight of the nuggets.
Well, and I'm not sure, the first part of the script said McNuggets, so that would specifically be McDonald's. So, or is it just any kind of nuggets? Just a matter of the weight.
Are you into competitive eat? Does the stuff amaze you? What's your thoughts on competitive eating? I bet when she woke up on Monday, she didn't expect that question to be tossed at her.
Well, I am digging the fact that these are models doing competitive eating, as long as they don't throw it up afterwards, because a lot of times if you eat too much, then blah. But if you train yourself, you can expand that stomach and just get it going. But yeah, this is something that I could totally do.
I can't even watch it.
If I tried, I could beat her.
My eyes are diverted.
I could beat her. But my favorite, and I was telling Ron this, my favorite would be those dino nuggets that you can get from Dillon's that come in a box, dino-shaped ones. I think because if you get different flavors of nuggets, you could definitely eat faster than others.
I'm kind of a slow eater, so just
And while I'm competing, I want you to come along and announce the name of the dinosaur that I'm eating each time.
I can do that. Also, too, for those of you who may remember the great 2005 4th of July Nathan's Hot Dog Eat-Off, where Joey Jaws Chestnut was put up there with such great American icons as Neil Armstrong and John F. Kennedy. Those are the announcer's words, not mine.
But the women that always in those hot dogs eating contests, they're these tiny little women too that
Yeah.
You're where do you put that? Where do you put it?
Thank you for removing that from the screen. I think Tim got sick of it too.
I was enjoying it.
No, I can't watch it. I can't even watch people eat in a commercial.
I wish I had chicken nuggets in there. I could just come
and
eat
for another
them.
story.
Eat them while you're doing your weather.
All right, yeah, here's what we got. We've got 42 degrees in Joplin. We've yet to budge since sunrise, which actually took place at 30 minutes ago. It took place at 7:09. So now we sit back and we wait for our warm-up because we're going to make it into the low 70s later on today. Kind of average it out, a little bit cooler up to the north. So we'll go around 69 degrees. But look at this, on Tuesday, all the way up to 76. And then remember, coming Tuesday night into Wednesday, especially after sunset on Tuesday, it'll be late to the night throughout most of Wednesday morning. Thunderstorm activity, heavy rain, high wind, even a slight chance for some hail. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Tonight at 8 on Fox or watch anytime.
This morning, we're talking about dining out, as Granny Schaefer's has been a part of the Joplin eatery landscape for almost half a century. Founded by David and Karen Schaefer back in April of 1973. And yesterday, another historic day, as it served the community for one last time. Our question for you this morning is, when was the last time that you did dine out? And very popular, evidently. Hopefully a lot of you were at Granny Schaefer's right there. 61% of you have said it did indeed over the weekend. You ate out, 18% last week, and then 21% saying either last month or even longer. The first full-fledged Oscars ceremony in 2 years had its share of memorable moments on stage. Also some first-time winners, and you can call it an altercation, you can call it a fight, you can call it almost a sucker punch. Elise Preston has the story from New York.
Hollywood's biggest night of the year was rocked by an intense exchange between Will Smith and Chris Rock on stage. The smack came moments after the comedian told a joke about Smith's wife Jada, who suffers from alopecia and hair loss. Smith later apologized to the Academy and his fellow nominees during his Best Actor acceptance speech for King Richard.
Art imitates life. I look like the crazy father, but love will make you do crazy things.
The night made history across the board. For the first time ever, the show featured 3 hosts: Regina Hall, Wanda Sykes, and Amy Schumer.
This year, the Academy hired 3 women to host because it's cheaper than hiring one man.
And the Oscar goes to... Okay, Coda.
Coda, the moving story of a deaf family with a hearing daughter, took home the biggest prize of the night, Best Picture. It's the first time a movie released on a streaming platform took home the coveted statue. The film's Troy Kotsur won for Best Supporting Actor, only the second deaf actor in history to do so.
This is dedicated to the deaf community. This is our moment.
Jessica Chastain received her first Academy Award for her role as Tammy Faye Baker in The Eyes of Tammy.
I think of Tammy, and I'm inspired by her radical acts of love. We've talked about love a lot tonight. And I'm inspired by her compassion. I see it as a guiding principle that leads us forward.
Even in this weary world that we live in, dreams do come true.
For her role as Anita in West Side Story, Ariana DeBose became the first LGBTQ woman of color to win Best Supporting Actress. Elise Preston, CBS News.
Disney's Encanto, that if you are a parent, you are all too familiar with it. You're probably singing it right now as I just say the words. Won Best Animated Feature Film, and Jane Campion, now only the 3rd woman to win Best Director for Power of the Dog. Now, according to the Los Angeles Police Department, Chris Rock declined to file a police report. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Living the dream or just making a dull living? A new study details the jobs people like and those they endure. British researchers at the University of Essex in England looked at jobs considered the most boring and the most exciting. Accounting, tax, or insurance work, data analysis, and banking ranked in the top 5. Cleaning jobs placed at the top of the list as well. So what do people like to do? The top 5 most exciting jobs include the performing arts, science, getting the scoop in journalism, health professions, and teaching. The study is in the Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin. FDA is warning consumers that 3 lots of milk of Magnesia are being recalled due to possible bacterial contamination. Popular over-the-counter product for heartburn and constipation could cause intestinal distress instead if it's from the contaminated lots. That defeats the purpose. Well, Plasticon Healthcare, which makes milk of Magnesia, says some of its oral suspension product, as well as acetaminophen and magnesium, may be affected. So far, there have been no known reports of illness due to the contamination. Food and Drug Administration has put the recalled labels on its website, fda.gov. Consumers may contact Plasticon by phone. Number to call, 785-330-6969. 7109 for refunds or additional information. We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
A Colorado musician goes viral after recording a bunch of performances at his house. Andy Thorne's skills on the banjo might not be the only reason, though, he's rising in popularity. Danny New explains how a furry friend may just be the real star of this show.
It's a fox, a really cute one, whose name is officially Foxy. And the banjo player is Andy Thorne, who you might recognize from the beloved Colorado jam band Leftover Salmon. Thorne, his wife, and their newborn live on this beautiful property in Boulder County, and they always knew about this family of foxes that lives near the property, but Foxy in particular really took to his music in 2020, and all music. He also likes the violin you saw there and guitar. After a while, Thorne and his wife decided, you know what, let's just put this video on social media, and it blew up on Facebook, on Reddit, on Instagram. He was getting new fans from places like Taiwan and Sweden, and he said the comments online were amazing.
Oh, the comments are my favorite part, that I'm a real life Snow White, you know? Or no, I'm the hillbilly Snow White, excuse me. That's my favorite, actually. This guy definitely drives a Subaru. That's pretty good.
Classic. 2 years later, Andy still plays Foxy pretty routinely, and he's even selling these shirts to celebrate him on his website. Because of the friendship, he says he's also gained thousands of new followers on social media and keeps hearing people say that they have a newfound appreciation for the banjo from the videos. He's very grateful.
So I have all these new fans, and I think that they came slightly for the music, mostly for the fox. We know that's the reason this is happening, but if they leave like liking my music or following my YouTube or my Spotify, all that stuff helps your music career. So that doesn't hurt. And it's just cool to be spreading banjo around the world in this weird way.
Begging the question and perhaps answering it, what music does the fox like? 42 degrees over 7th and Rangeline right now. It's beautiful sunshine and blue skies throughout. It's going to be a tad bit dry today, so we do have some elevated fire concerns. Not a whole lot of movement since sunrise yet, but we'll quickly warm up here, especially when we get the wind to actually move in from the south-southeast instead of just due east like it is. And as that happens, our wind also increases a little bit. Fire weather watch. Luckily, it's out to the west of us, but at the same point in time, with our humidity dropping so low and the wind picking up, best thing to do is be on the safe side. Try not to burn anything today, as it runs really from the Rio Grande all the way up to about South Dakota right there. Doesn't quite reach North Dakota. For us, the Skywatch Storm Tracker, clear as can be. We had some early morning cloud cover, but it's now dispatched out to the northeast. Nationally speaking, there's your jet stream, pushes off to the east of us. Get under the ridge. What that means, let that heat come at us, not only for today, but into tomorrow as well. So while we'll be up into the high 60s today and a tad bit blustery, tomorrow is even going to be warmer. As a matter of fact, as these winds push into about 20 to 25 miles an hour for Tuesday, it's going to lead us up into the mid to high 70s. But Tuesday also too, especially once we get to sunset, brings in the good old-fashioned thunderstorms as they arrive from the southwest. Thunder, lightning, periods of very heavy rain right here, going to have some flooding threats. Also too, high winds and even some hail, which is why we find ourselves in the low category on the severe thunderstorm risk map all the way throughout Wednesday. A little bit of a cold front on the backside of it, and then get ready for more rain Friday night into Saturday morning. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. President Biden answered no when asked yesterday if he was calling for a Russian regime change at the end of his address in Poland. With Vladimir Putin's war in its second month, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said his country was prepared to consider declaring neutrality and offering security guarantees, including a nuclear-free status. A wildfire south of Boulder, Colorado over the weekend forced thousands to flee. The fire, which started Saturday afternoon, burned protected wildland near the National Center for Atmospheric Research. And China, which had reported major strides in getting its COVID outbreak under control, is now starting to lock down most of its largest city, Shanghai, for at least several days. The government plans to begin mass testing of the city's population of 26 million. as case numbers rise. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Good looking Monday, mostly sunny skies, temps around 70 degrees. Into Tuesday, instability grows. Afternoon temperatures into the 70s for Tuesday. Tuesday night, welcome in the thunderstorm activity as we'll get thunder, lightning, chances for flooding, and also 2 high winds.
Wildlife officials in East Tennessee captured and relocated a 500-pound black bear. This bear was known to dig through garbage, bird feeders, and pet food around the campus of the Koam University for years. But recently, the bear has become more active and has been increasingly damaging property around the area. Officials with Tennessee's Wildlife Resources Agency and the Greenville Fire Department helped tranquilize the bear on Thursday. They then relocated him to a remote area of the Cherokee National Forest.
They can deal with that. Florida's dealing with a 12-foot-long great white that's 1,600 pounds. Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. More news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.